Hey new coaches, I hope you are loving and rocking this group. I know there has been so much amazing information so far. Either you just signed up or you're coming in for a refresher, but my gosh, there are so many eloquent, lovely, wonderful coaches in this group to learn from. And this is a really great place to get that foundation for a long-term successful business, which we all want, right? I know I do. My name is Bonnie and I've been a coach for 5 years now. And I want to talk to you today about possibly my most favorite part of the business. You know, we've talked a little bit about logistics, we've talked about social media, and now as you're starting to have some of those conversations from your first post, and as you're starting to make those lists and reach out to your people and invite them to those challenge groups, I want to tell you about something that is inevitably going to happen in every single conversation that you have, and that is objections. Objections are human nature. Objections don't mean anything about what you have to offer, who you are, how you're saying it, how long you've been a coach, what you have to say, any of that. Objections are a part of everyone's knee-jerk reaction when there is money involved, when there is fitness involved, when there is health involved, when there is a choice involved. Everybody has objections. You know, I read this study once that before the checkout at any kind of store, let's call it Target, let's call it the grocery store, the mall, wherever you want to think of in your head, before someone gets to the checkout, they make on average 65 decisions in the space between when they get in line and when they check out. And that's a really big reason why stores like to have the lines really small, because they don't want to give people time to make those little decisions and choices and talk themselves out of stuff before they get up to purchase. So I want you guys to understand that this is not a, our business only thing. Objections are part of human nature. You know, when I'm walking through Target, I literally object to everything. I put stuff in my cart. I'm like, okay, do I need this? No, I don't. Oh, I should be more conservative. And then I'll put things back and I'll make decisions. That is what's going on in your prospects' heads when you're having a conversation. I will tell you, as long as my business has been running, as successful as it is, every single conversation that I get into has an objection in one way, shape, or form. 99.9% of the time, everybody has a question, they have something to ask, they have something to think about, they have something that they have a misconception on. So I want you guys to understand, and why I say all of this stuff, preface the video with this, is because it's normal. It should be expected. I think sometimes when we first start our business, we see so clearly how amazing the products and programs and opportunity is, so we personally don't understand why anybody would have an objection or a question. But I want you guys to understand that every coach, no matter who you follow on social media, they get objections all day long. It is a normal part of your business, and you should come into conversations expecting them, right? I think maybe like a handful of times in 5 years I've ever had someone say, here I am, I'm ready, I don't have any questions whatsoever, send me the link, I don't care how much it costs, and let's go, right? That is very, very rare. So I want you guys to get out of your heads and understand that objections and questions and kind of pushback from your prospects is totally normal. So that leads me to my first point that I want to talk about, and that's mindset. Whenever you go into a conversation, it's really difficult sometimes to not expect a yes right away, right? So when you go into a conversation, I want you guys to understand that there's a couple different outcomes that can happen. Number one, someone says, yes, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You don't have to show me anything else. Sign me up, right? And that's very, very rare. That like 0.003% of the time. Then you have someone who can say, I don't know, maybe not right now. It's not the right time of life for me. That's someone that you can tack onto that follow-up list. Now this follow-up list, I will tell you, 90% of my people every single month come from. I've either talked to them before, they've been following me for a while, we've had a conversation previously, they've been able to follow my journey since then, and we've been kind of, fluffing that relationship ever since. I've been offering them free value, I've been offering them, posts about what I'm doing. That's where 90% of the people who sign up with me every single month come from. So that second option that can happen in a conversation is very, very good. You want to strive for that. You want to strive for an objection, a question, a not right now, maybe later, follow up, all of that kind of stuff. And then number 3, they say, no, absolutely not. This isn't for me. Stop talking to me. And then you have a really great opportunity to ask for a referral. You know, do you have anyone in your life who you think would be interested? I know it's not right for you right now. And then you have an opportunity for that follow-up again, even when someone says no. I can't tell you, all of the top coaches on my team have said no to me once or twice, or said, you know what, I need to think about this, or you know what, I still have a question about that. There's very few people, like I said, who come at you all ready to go. Number 2, projection. You know, it's interesting, when we become coaches, we can become very self-conscious about, because it's a new thing, right? It's a new thing to be talking about health and fitness. It's a new thing to be talking about these programs. So we ourselves as coaches can become very self-conscious about what we're talking about, and we can begin to project those things onto people. So a lot of times I'll have new coaches who say to me, you know what, I'm scared to reach out because I think people are going to think I'm only after their money and that I have no intention of helping them. So if I'm constantly thinking that and thinking that and thinking that, I'm projecting that onto the people I'm talking to, which leads my conversation to not be easy, to not have a flow, and I'm actually projecting their objection onto them, right? I'm saying in my head the whole time, you know, super doubtful, oh gosh, they're going to think this, they're going to think this. Well, then all of my words in the conversation are going to come out with that trepidation, with that fear, right? You want to be so in your mindset set that this is the right answer for people. You're loving it. You're doing it. Objections don't faze you. They come at you. You accept them. You know that they're normal and real, and then you keep going on. So here's a little tip for that. Before you go into conversations, if you're having some of that new coach conversation anxiety, if you're having some of that, you know, first time jitters, you've done your first post and people are reaching out to you and you're scared that objections are going to come at you, gotta know objections are normal. And then number 2, I want you to write a list out of all the things that make you happy about your choice. You're excited again. You get to log into these groups and be surrounded by these people who are going after their goals. You're tied to your health and fitness again. You have, you know, a priority of yourself and keeping yourself healthy now. Write down all of those things before you go into conversations. And then my second tip is to put on some pump-up music and get your body moving around. Really start to shake that fear out of yourself. And then number 3, objections for me are a really great challenge. And in this group, we are going to upload answers to every possible objection later on today that you could possibly get. There's going to be a great document that you can sift through to see what some top coaches say to certain common objections, like, oh, I don't have the money, or, you know, I don't know enough about Shakeology. And oftentimes that can come as a, well, I don't know enough about Shakeology either, or, yeah, okay, you don't have the money, that's okay. 100% of the time, objections are fear from that person. Objections are insecurity from that person. There's something that you're not explaining through your posts that is causing them to hide behind that objection. Because we all know if you want to do something, you will do something. And I want to give you an example. So yes, it costs money to join our groups. And that's a really common objection, right? Oh, I don't have the money right now. And it was my first objection to my coach. I told her, I got to talk to my husband. I don't know if we have that money right now, and I'll get back to you, right? If you offered someone a souped up Mustang for $160 who told you they didn't have the money, they'd find the money, right? Because the value is there. You've got to help them see the value in that $160, which you do by combating objections, both publicly and privately. So just know that when those objections come at you, it is really, 1, a projection of your insecurity, so we've got to take care of that first, and then 2, a projection of that person's fear and insecurity. When I told my coach I don't know if I have the money, yeah, it was a big chunk of money for me, but I saw the value of the long-term gain from that short-term sacrifice, and she was really great at showcasing that. So a really great way, once you get these objection scripts from us, to make those conversations easier before they even come at you is making sure that publicly you're consistently posting to those objections that you're getting, right? So let's say you're getting a ton of objections about Shakeology and people are confused about it. They don't know that it's a superfood shake. They're kind of thinking of it as a protein shake. Then what I would do is those next couple days, take some pictures of you with your shake in a nice pretty glass and a nice straw and talk about some of the benefits of it. You know, before I had the shake, I totally thought it was a protein shake that was unnecessary for me. But now, after having drank it for, 2 weeks, 5 days, whatever, it has replaced my, afternoon coffee break and my afternoon run to the gas station and get some food because I'm starving at work. Really starting to inlay into your social media some of those secrets about those objections so that when you're having them privately, people can then turn to your public social media and say, get their questions answered right there, right? And then when you're in conversations and you're having private objections, the best way to really deal with them is to take it on yourself. So a lot of times I think when we post about objections or we talk about objections privately, we have a tendency to kind of like wave our finger, like, no, it's not like that. I always like to take ownership on myself of the objection. I always like to say, so let's say someone says, oh, I don't have the money for that right now. Then I always like to say, okay, neither did I. I totally relate to you in this moment because that was so my story, right? We have this saying called feel, felt, found. I like to think of it as I'm assuming the responsibility of that objection. So whenever someone says like, I'm not fit enough or I don't think I could have the money right now, that's an insecurity, right? That's a fear. So we want to scoop that insecurity and fear off of that person and put it onto ourselves. I get you. That was totally my story in the beginning. Here's how it's different, right? And I want to caution you too, 1 or 2 answers to objections might not do the trick. It takes someone on average 7 to 10 times to see something to actually make the purchase, right? So you want to be consistent with those people. Once you've answered the objection, then you're going to write them down on your follow-up list, follow up once again, right? So let's review. Number 1, first and foremost in objections is mindset. You've got to pump yourself up, right? Know that objections are normal. They're a regular part of the business. And then a subset to number 1, be careful that you're not projecting those insecurities on people. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but they say, like 99% of the things that you are thinking that other people are thinking aren't true. And 99% of the things that you're scared of will never actually happen. So oftentimes when I talk to new coaches a lot who say, well, I'm talking to a lot of people and they're thinking this, and I'm like, okay, are they thinking it or are they saying it? Because odds are you're thinking it in your head, and then if someone doesn't answer or, gives you kind of a blow-off answer, then you're saying, oh my gosh, it's this, right? That may be you projecting something on someone. Speaking of no answers are very, very common when you're in conversation. So I want you guys to first think about like how busy we are, and everybody's first priority is not to answer their messages. So just remember that people forget. Remember that not answering is also fear and insecurity. I remember I didn't answer my coach for a little while because I actually didn't want to tell her that I didn't think I had the money, right? Because that's something that you don't want to like walk around. You're not at Target at the checkout like, I don't have the money for this shirt, so I have to put it back, right? It would be so embarrassing. So treat those non-answers or objections with kindness and grace. And when I started viewing objections with that kind of mindset, they got way easier, right? Kindness and grace for objections is key. Remember that people are nervous and scared, and we have to kind of do that work for them to make the decision easier for them to move forward, if that makes sense. And then the second part, make sure you are looking at these as a challenge, okay? In the unit section of this group, there's going to be some stock answers common answers that those of us older coaches utilize for common objections. So take a look at those, jot some down, copy and paste them, put them in a Word doc or on your phone in the notes section, make them your own. You can even on Instagram do set up some instant replies for people who have the same common objections. But I want you to view these objections as a challenge, right? They're normal, they come in every conversation, and really try to take ownership of those objections and say, I get you, or I have a friend who felt the same way and now she's doing X, Y, and Z. And then in conjunction with those objections, make sure that publicly you're posting to those answers as well. So people who are following you, and you can also think of it as questions that you had before you joined, odds are your market or the people who are closest to you are going to have the same exact fears and hesitations. So make sure you're speaking publicly to those at the same time. So maybe writing out a list of, okay, I was unsure about Shakeology, I was unsure about the price, and then doing some posts that speak to that. Before I joined this, I was totally unsure if the price was worth it. However, after 5 days of this, I would pay double because of X, Y, and Z, and listing the things that are adding to your life right now. So making sure you're doing those things in private, knowing that they're real and that they happen to every single person. And then number two, knowing that publicly you have to be posting about those things too. And I know that Holly touches on this a little bit, so I won't go too much into it, but you have to be doing the same things in private that you're doing in public, right? Or else those objections, and when you're combating them, they don't really mesh well. So make sure, everybody has questions about, what do I post about? What do I post about? Make sure you're just posting about those questions that you're getting. I've gotten this question several times today and I wanted to chat about it. Those types of things. So we are objection warriors. They are a normal part of this business. Know that and go into it with the mindset of this is normal and happens to everyone. Write your list. Pump yourself up and get that blood moving, and don't project onto the conversation. Utilize those scripts both privately and publicly, and we are ready to go. I will see you guys later.